Indianapolis is the world center of racing. That makes it the perfect place for the PRI show. Everyone who's anyone in the racing industry is here, and we'll take you on a personal tour next.
Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest and exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Motorhead Garage is presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Welcome to Indianapolis, the performance racing industry show. This is where racers come in the off-season to make deals to get ready for the next season. Everybody's getting ready for 2023. There are over 1,000 vendors on the grounds. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's get started. Dynabrade has been the name in buffing and polishing for 53 years, and they've been evolving that entire time, and you've evolved even more. This year, you brought something new with you, Matt.
Yeah, like last time we talked, we were dealing with our belt tools, which started the company 53 years ago. There's been applications where sometimes those particular tools don't meet the requirements of the fabricator. So we've been listening to the fabricator. We saw an opportunity, and we innovated with a newer style tool called our pipe belt polisher. It can actually wrap an abrasive and follow the curvature of the pipe from the size of 3/8 all the way up to 6-inch diameter. The tool itself uses an 1.5 by a 30-inch abrasive belt. I have here is a coated abrasive belt that's going to leave a grain finish. As I start the tool, I apply pressure on the arm, moving it back and forth. It follows the curvature or the shape of the part itself, leaving a grain finish as it's wrapping around.
Is it just the grain finish, or what else can I do with it?
You can remove some welds that are not too big for blending to make it look like it's a one piece, so it looks like it was not welded at that particular location. But you can also take it to the point where you take extra steps with the belts and go to the next step with non-woven, and next step would be a polishing belt. And then from there, you can take a virgin piece of stainless steel, like a stainless steel exhaust, and actually get a mirror finish if you were looking to do that.
What about belt sizes? What are my options?
Well, you can do belt sizes from a 1/2 inch by 30 to an 1.5 inch by 30. So basically it's about 4 different widths that you can use in belts.
If you need to buff, if you need to grind, if you need to polish, Dynabrade is your one-stop shop, dynabrade.com. The whole reason PRI is in Indianapolis because of the Indy 500, of course. This is a modern-day Indy car. The pole speed in 2022, 234 miles an hour. But this is what an Indy car looked like in 1914. This is a Duesenberg Special, made 100 horsepower, high-tech for the day, 360 cubic inch engine. It was driven by World War I ace Eddie Rickenbacker. He finished 10th in the race. Willie Haupt finished 12th in a similar car. By the way, Renee Thomas won the race that year, winning speed 82 miles an hour. Of course, safety is the most important thing when it comes to racing, and good looks are pretty important too. You could do both with a suit from Accelo Racewear. This is their brand new Nomex suit. They're rolling it out here for the PRI show. Now it's shiny, first of all, which is a little bit different for a Nomex suit, usually a pretty dull color there. So this thing looks great. It's also lightweight and it's easily breathable, really flexible. We'll tell you more about that in just a second here, but really revolutionary when it comes to comfort and safety, of course. You can get it as a 1 or a 2-piece suit, and you get your choice of an arm cuff style. You get the banded cuff, or one that's a little more like a boot cut, if you will. 3 different collar types you can choose. These are all customizable. You've got your choice of getting it with the epaulettes or without, and same thing when it comes to the belt, with or without a belt. So you can look cool on the racetrack. It's got a YKK zipper that comes from Japan. That's the biggest zipper manufacturer in the world, so they know what they're doing. You know you're getting quality when it comes to a suit from Accelo Racewear. There's a radio pocket inside, and you have optional foot stirrups, so that'll keep the suit down. That actually keeps you more comfortable, and it makes you more safe in the race car, making sure you're getting complete coverage. If you want to, you can add a Carbon X inner lining for extra fire protection. The standard lining is a moisture wicking inner liner, so that makes things more comfortable. And let's talk about comfort here. Side stretch panels, 360-degree arm gussets around this thing, extra flexible. You can stretch, you can move in this suit, and you can stretch when you're working on your car. Any custom design you want, you can get fluorescent and premium colored Nomex, and unlimited embroidery and logo placement. You won't find that anywhere else. From head to toe, they've got you covered at Accelo Racewear. They've even got your crew crew covered with some great looking shirts as well. You can find them at Accelo Racewear.com. Don't touch that remote. We've got more Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings coming up after this.
Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. Anywhere Bikes, electric trikes and bikes designed for you. Mouse Blocker, protecting your vehicle from little things that cause big problems. Full Throttle, wraps and graphics. And by Oil Undercoating, the official oil-based rust prevention system.
Welcome back to the annual PRI show in Indianapolis. This just happened moments ago. The featured product award here at PRI went to Delta Performance Auto Group, so we had to rush right over here. Now, John, this award's given for innovation. What could be innovative about a water pump?
So we're here at PRI demonstrating our brushless cooling solutions. We have brushless fans and brushless water pumps. Brushless is a game changer for the cooling industry. It is a very efficient, very power-dense system that's variable speed, and because there are no electronics in the motor is the wet side, so there's no seal. We have a 4-inch stainless steel impeller, which is very innovative, and we have a single 1 3/4 inlet and dual 1-inch outlet capable of doing 65 gallons a minute, which is a significant increase to what else is out there. And it also has an operating life of 50,000 hours.
And how's that compared to the operating life of a non-brushless system?
It's around 3,000 to 4,000 hours, so we're looking at 10 times more operating life. And it's variable speed, so you could remove the thermostat and have the pump be your thermostat to modulate up and down as the engine needs the heat. This is our silicone hose fittings. We also have a billet version, which is using AN fittings, and that just replaces our faceplate.
Brushless motors have been around for a long time. Why haven't we seen them like this in cooling systems before?
Right. So it's something very challenging, and that's what our patents really cover. Electronics are kind of necessary to operate a brushless system. And as you know, electronics don't like heat, and you're putting heat in the hottest environment. So our system has self-cooling technology, so it's able to precisely and effectively cool the electronics as they operate. So it allows the electronics to outlive their brush counterparts by a margin of 3 or 4 times.
Well, cool is fast, and if you want to stay cool, DeltaPAG.com is the destination. One of the things I love about motorsports, there's something for everyone to race, whether you're talking the Indy cars, off-road racing, drag racing, drifting, the list goes on and on, but here is a great way to start. A kart, go-kart now, you're maybe used to the recreational go-karts you see there next to the putt-putt golf course. Not the case here. This is a road racing go-kart, makes 15 horsepower. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that'll get you 70 miles an hour on a long straightaway. These are pretty serious, and how do I know? Well, think of names like Ayrton Senna, Michael Schumacher, and Lewis Hamilton. Every one of them got started in go-karts like this. As you can see on the table here, there's a million different uses for Clamptite tools, from industrial to farming and of course to automotive, Nikki. But we're at the PRI show, the performance racing industry. All kinds of stresses on racing engines. Why is a Clamptite tool better than a traditional hose clamp when it comes to racing?
Clamptite tool is a custom clamp, so it's the right size every single time. So from your small hoses to your large hoses to your boost, it always is the right size every single time. So when you take your wire, you're going to bring your ends together, you make a loop, feed your ends through that loop. 1 time around is great for just attaching something, 2 times around for pressure. So what that means, you just go the exact same way, up through the center of the first one, back through the loop again. Make sure you're not cross-twisted or overlapped. Take the tool, insert it, wrap it, up and around. Each of the pegs, twist those together just like a bread tie. Notch at the bottom of the tool. The other thing that it's doing is it's push-pulling the wire. It's not twisting the wires together like safety wire pliers. Don't worry about that hot spot on that wire and causing the wire to break. Also, round wire applying even pressure. It's not going to cut into whatever you're working on. You're going to feel it in the tool when it's tight. You can even pressurize your system at this point, see if you have a leak. If you do, just keep tightening until it stops. When you have the space, 180. If you don't, just past 90 is all you need. Get your cutters. Get that tool out of your way. Trim those down a little bit. Now, when you push these down, you are work hardening that wire. You're stretching that wire into a permanent clamp. That won't shake loose, vibrate off. That won't come off till you remove it. And if you got to get it back off, bend the tabs back out, grab a hold of that center and pull. Comes right off.
And it's reusable. You can use it over and over again, just like a regular hose clamp. Get a whole lot more strength out of the Clamptite clamp. You can find it at clamptitetools.com. You are watching Motorhead Garage, so that means you've probably heard of the name NGK, and you've probably heard of their spark plugs. But Brian, how are you guys so much more than just spark plugs?
Yeah, obviously the industry knows us for being a spark plug company with the NGK brand. On top of spark plugs, we also have ignition wires and coils. On the NTK side, oxygen sensors, as well as our NTK tech program that's focused on engine management.
And now you're still changing the industry after 80 years by changing it through education.
We feel it's our obligation to offer training and resources and just make it easier to shop our products, look for information, from spending time with our distributors, with the repair shops and technicians. We took all that feedback. We wanted to show our appreciation to the industry, and that's where we launched our Shop Squad community program earlier this year, focused on really 3 pillars: learning, sharing, and supporting.
How important is it to NGK and NTK as a company to give back like that?
We also feel it's our obligation as well for future professionals, whether that's service professionals or parts professionals, to educate them on what a great industry it is and how you can make a wonderful career being it.
Why should someone hop online and join Shop Squad?
There's a number of great resources on there. We have 27 free training courses, our technical service bulletins, which we call Part Smarts, as well as catalog content and a number of different resources, and we are going to continue to grow the community as we move forward.
It's absolutely free to join. Go to shopsquadonline.com. Don't move. We'll be right back with more from the PRI show here in Indy. Welcome back to the Indiana Convention Center for the annual PRI show. There is a familiar car for Motorhead Garage viewers. That is the Shocker. It's been in our studio, and it was built to prove that gasoline-powered cars can be even more green than electric cars. Of course, we know it runs on gasoline, but stopping in racing, John, is maybe even more important than going. So why did the guys at Innovation Performance Technologies call you at Pro Systems for their brakes?
We worked with them on a few other race cars that they built in their shop, and John Marshall there said, man, if we're going to do this car, we want Pro Systems to be a part of working on it. So first thing we did is let's just put a GT4 style brake system on it. So basically it's the same style of brakes we would be using for an Aston Martin or the McLaren GT4. We've slowly worked that into a street car version, and we build them there at our shop in North Carolina, custom done for this car, but we also have them for all the Corvettes, C5, 6, 7, 8, a lot of Camaros, a lot of Mustangs, and these guys are taking these same kits, they're track daying them, they're running them in the Ultimate Street Car Challenge, SCCA, and levels like that, but the same quality there is what we put in our GT3 and GT1 style stuff for Trans Am and IMSA road cars, where we're on the Pratt & Miller Corvette, and we're also on just about every Trans Am car that runs in the Trans Am series. It's a race system made for the street, quality, performance, it's all there, quality brake pads, just good stuff.
You can find their brakes everywhere from Formula One to IndyCar to NASCAR and beyond, and you can find them on their website at alconusa.com. When Innovation Performance Technologies was looking for wheels for their Shocker car, of course they were looking for something that was lightweight and something that was strong, and that meant there was only one place for them to go, and that was Forge Line wheels. Now, David, why does Forge Line stand out among the competition?
We've been making racing wheels for almost 30 years, and so the lessons that we've learned and the teams that we've worked with over the years has just given us the advantage to make the wheels as light and strong, be able to fit over the brakes, just engineered for that particular vehicle.
And let's talk about that particular vehicle, in this case the Shocker. What are some of the things about the wheel that made it the right wheel for that car?
And they needed a specific offset, they had some big brakes on the car we had to clear, and they're going to do some tracking with that car, so we had to make it strong enough, and they wanted something lightweight as well, so that was a consideration.
Who's using Forge Line wheels out there?
About 50% of our business is purely motorsport, so we're factory on the Mustang GT4, Camaro GT4, and we're doing a lot of Porsches and that type of stuff. We make drag racing wheels, road racing wheels, but we also make street wheels too.
And where is everything from Forge Line made?
So all the raw materials are sourced and everything is manufactured in the USA.
Made in the USA, super strong, super light, can't ask for anything more. They're at forgeline.com. Racing legend and television legend Ted Jones is prowling the grounds. Let's see what he's found.
You know, there's a new fad in drag racing now. It's called no prep racing. It's sweeping the nation by storm. They go to the end of the drag strip where there is no rubber laid down, no traction compound, and try to hook up a car like this that makes mega hundreds of horsepower. This is driven by Manny Alvarez, and this is where it's going to, folks. This thing is basically like a Pro Modified with a monstrous turbocharger, 572 cubic inch engine prepared by Steve Morse, custom frame like a Pro Mod would have, built by Tim McAmis, the famous Pro Stock engine builder out of St. Louis. This no prep is getting ridiculous. This thing is absolutely gorgeous and will scare you to death.
Reid Rocker Arms by Reid Machine has been around for 18 years, and they've clawed their way to the top of the industry. You would think in nearly 20 years you guys would be resting on your laurels, Daryl, but you keep innovating. What's new for 2022 and 2023?
Coming up with our 426 late model assembly, moving on to what we have done before with the Noonan 4.9 engine and the 392 Gen 1 Hemi, and moving back to the alcohol fathead style rocker arm assembly, innovating across the board to make Hemi valve train assemblies more reliable and repeatable.
Let's talk about this one here. This is for the late models here. Now, who's running this, and what are the differences in the options you have?
Right now we have folks running them in the Nostalgia Funny Cars Nitro, and they're running this particular rocker with a small roller and a small pin. Moving forward, we'll have the large roller, large pin for the big show cars, super high horsepower, 11,000, and the entire assembly is more stable, more rigid than all previous assemblies ever made.
If you see a Hemi-powered car in the winner's circle, chances are they have Reid Rocker Arms on that vehicle. You can get them for your vehicle at reidmachine.com. Keep it right here. More Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings coming to you from the PRI show in Indianapolis.
Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, is brought to you by Pacific Performance Engineering, leading the way in high-performance diesel technologies. McMahon Alternators, all we do is alternators. Down for Sound, the world's leading car audio store. Toolbox Widget, the modular tool organizing system. And by Oil Undercoating, the official oil-based rust prevention system.
Still checking out all the racing gear here at the annual PRI show in Indianapolis. 40 years ago, Neal Chance Racing Converters introduced the bolt-together torque converter. They were the first to do it, and they are still the best. Now, 40 years later, Marty, if folks are building their own torque converter, how can they take advantage of your experience?
Well, we've come up with this new partners program. It's a bolt-together program with a billet drive cover, a pump cover. It's pressure-tested balance, hub, ready to install the turbine, the sprag, and the stator. And we provide this to any torque converter company, whether they've been in business for 40 years or they're just now getting started. They don't have to work their way to the top. They can start at the top with the Neal Chance partner system.
What if they don't have the innards? What if they don't have the stator or any of those parts?
We can provide them with all the components necessary. A turbine core, the turbine hub, bearings, stator caps, stator, billet steel stators, mechanical diodes, spragless, whatever they want to do. We can provide the whole thing as a kit.
What are some of the features of your torque converter parts that are going to help them build a better converter?
Well, we stamped our own converters because the converter cores are all gone, starting with the 8-inch converter over here. When we stamped it, we made it with a 25% thicker blade. Anybody who's ever had an 8-inch converter, stood on the trans brake and ripped the fins out of the thing, knows why it needs to be 25% thicker. We need that strength for what we do in these race cars. In the 10-inch stampings, we stamp them with multiple fin angle, like a 10-degree angle, a 20-degree angle, a 30-degree angle. This gives a lot of stall options.
What about the 9-inch? What kind of options do I have for the fin angles?
The 9-inch has 4 different pump fin angles, a negative fin angle, a neutral, and 2 different positives.
Whether you're building your own torque converters or you want a ready-made one ready to put in your race car, you can find the best at racingconverters.com. You come to the PRI show, you get to see all kinds of stuff for your car, and it's also a bit of a car show. Check this out. This is a 1974 Opel Manta. It's been modified just a little bit. There's a 582 big block Chevy, and I'd say under the hood, but it's sticking right out of the hood. A Power Glide transmission. This thing runs on pump gas and makes 1,200 horsepower. They take this thing to drag and drive events. That means they drive from drag strip to drag strip and then race it when they get there. This thing runs in the 850s, naturally aspirated. Just imagine when they hook up the nitrous, this thing's going to make 1,600 horsepower. D&J Precision Machine selling performance, of course, but they're also selling a type of insurance. Now, Drew, tell me what kinds of things can go wrong in a diesel engine.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues with the Cummins engines is they drop valve seats. So a valve seat will fall out of the cylinder head and wreck the whole engine, wrecks the piston, injector, seen it even get to the point where the block is trashed. So what we do is an HP reman cylinder head that gets big valve seats. We also upgrade the valve guides. And one of the other issues is they drop the soft plugs out of the cylinder head and fill the crankcase full of coolant. So we do thread and soft plugs there.
What makes your cylinder heads better than some of the others that are out there? What makes them better than the OE?
Better than the OE is we do a bigger valve seat with more press fit, better guides. We go to a bronze guide liner, always held up better than a regular cast guide. Helps with lubricity and all of that. And then we do upgraded porting for more airflow, helps reduce EGTs and increase fuel efficiency and performance from a towing vehicle all the way to a racing application.
And you're not just a one-trick pony. What else does D&J make?
D&J makes everything for Cummins engines. We do from stock reman engines all the way to 3,000 horsepower long blocks for your race vehicles and anything in between. So if you've got a tow truck or work truck, we can got you covered there. If you've got a race truck or a pulling truck, we got you covered for all of that stuff.
Diesel engines are huge these days, and if you've got a Cummins diesel, you're going to want to know the name D&J. You can find them at djprecisionmachine.com. Thanks for tuning in to Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings from the PRI show in Indianapolis. We hope you enjoyed the ride. Hey, guess what? There's a whole lot more to cover, so we're going to be back in Indy next week. We hope you join us then. So long.